What is up, Janksters? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet, and this is actually a standard deck. Now, this is a weird time to be building standard as I'm recording this, because we are just a couple of weeks away from Dominaria United releasing on the client and therefore bringing about rotation. So we're going to lose a ton of staples, and so as a result, this deck is actually rotation proof. That's right, we have no cards that are going to be rotating even in the mana base. The whole thing is completely available post-rotation. It is a little silly to build post-rotation decks for a very simple reason. We haven't seen Dominaria United yet, and so as a result, we're not sure what that's going to inject into the format. And so this may not be a viable deck depending on what cards are in Dominaria United, and that's it would true of any rotation-proof deck that you try to build at this point. However, we have some absolute bangers right now, and the power level is through the roof with some of the cards that won't be rotating, and as a result, I believe it's pretty safe to build around them, because I would be shocked if an answer appears in Dominaria that can deal with this. And of course, whenever I am faced with a brand new format, I build Reanimator, and so that's what we have here today. Now, when I say we have some absolute bangers, I'm talking about Titan of Industry. This card is absolutely amazing. Phenomenal reanimation target. It gives you a 7/7 trampling reacher for 7, or we can get it down as early as turn 4 in this deck pretty consistently, actually, with a phenomenal ETB trigger that's just absolutely insane. We also have Toxrill. If our opponent is going wide, Toxrill just completely shuts it down. And if our opponent has a wide board state, Toxrill then turns all of their stuff into our stuff. It's pretty great. And then, of course, we have some phenomenal setup pieces, phenomenal hate pieces in Fable of the Mirror Breaker and Meathook Massacre. These cards are absolutely fantastic in shutting down what our opponent's doing in the case of Meathook Massacre, or teeing up what we're doing. Fable of the Mirror Breaker with a good reanimation target in hand is gasoline, because you create the Treasure Goblin, assuming it doesn't pull removal on turn 3, you create the Treasure Goblin. Turn 4, hit your land drop, attack with the Treasure Goblin. Oh, and you get the discard 2 cards. So it puts the reanimation target in your graveyard, makes it more likely that you're going to draw the lands you need as well as the reanimation spell itself. And our reanimation spells in Malakir Rebirth and Graveyard Shift are 5-drops. So it gives us the treasure token from the Goblin Shaman. We now have 5 mana available on turn 4 that we can use to grab a Toxrill or a Titan of Industry. A turn 4 Toxrill or Titan of Industry means game over in a lot of situations. And the great part about Titan of Industry, even if the opponent has an answer to the Titan itself, they probably don't have an answer to the Rhino and the shield counter or the destruction that it causes when it enters, or even just the 5 life. Like, a lot of the time, especially if your opponent doesn't have a board state set up yet, which is oftentimes the case when you're firing this on turn 4, I just create the 4/4 Rhino and gain 5 life. So even if they get rid of the Titan, or even if they exile the Titan, so it's gone forever and I can't recur it again, we still have a 4/4 on board and a big boon to our life total that our opponent needs to dance with. So just good stuff, absolutely good stuff. We also have Junji, the Midnight Sky, in here, because this is another way. It is a 5/5 Flying Menace on its own that, again, we can be going as early as turn 4 with Fable, so that's nice. And to be honest, if we have to reanimate this late in the game, I don't feel bad about it, because you're still getting a good body that can close the game out. So that's nice. But as an added bonus, if Junji is on the field alongside one of our reanimation targets, and our opponent wipes the board with a destroy effect, or something like their own Meathook Massacre if they have a ton of mana lying around, Junji goes to our graveyard, and we can put target non-dragon creature from our graveyard onto the battlefield. Guess what? Toxrill's a slug horror, and Titan of Industry is an elemental. That means they are viable targets for that, so Junji just brings them right back. So Junji is another reanimation spell while also being a reanimation target. Pretty cool stuff. It's just a great card, and it fits this deck like a frickin' glove. Other setup pieces we have Bloodtithe Harvester. This is a 3/2 that is incredibly potent in the early game at putting your opponent on a clock and making them think, putting some pressure on your opponent. And that blood token is a way that we can help get creatures into our graveyard. And Bloodtithe Harvester can also function as removal. It also combos beautifully with Fable of the Mirror Breaker, which is great stuff. This card is fantastic, like absolutely fantastic. For an uncommon, so good. We also have Cathartic Pyre in here. Pyre is first and foremost removal. This is the deal 3 damage to our creature Planeswalker is the mode you're going to be using the vast majority of the time. However, if you have good reanimation targets in hand and we just need to get them into the graveyard, Cathartic Pyre can get there. Now, you do go down a card because you cast Cathartic Pyre, discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. So you are losing the Pyre itself. So if you discard 2 cards, you're drawing 2 cards, and so you're down 3, you're up 2. So you are going down a card. That is important. Unlike Fable, where you get to discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards, but you're not losing the Fable and you're getting all kinds of other value as a result. So Cathartic Pyre is suboptimal in that regard, but it can work, so that's good. But 3 damage to any target creature. Given how quickly we're trying to get our stuff online, that 3 damage can go a long way. There are going to be a lot of viable targets for that. We also have Flame Blast Bolt. This card is fantastic. Flame Blast Bolt is positioned really, really, really well in the meta right now. There are a lot of 1 and 2 toughness creatures running around that are causing a lot of havoc in the early game, and Flame Blast Bolt can deal with all of them. It gets rid of your Luminarch Aspirant if you have it early. It gets rid of Tenacious Underdog forever because it exiles. It's just good stuff. It gets rid of our opponent's Bloodtithe Harvester, which you're probably going to see, or the Goblin Shaman that's created from their Fable the Mirror Breaker. It deals with all of these threats that can produce a decent chunk of value throughout the course of the game, and it deals with them pretty well because it's just 2 damage and it exiles. It also gets rid of Planeswalkers, so if our opponent hits us with like a Wandering Emperor, for example, we can follow it up with a Flame Plus Bolt to get it off the board. So yes, they can get that initial down tick, for example, to potentially exile one of our big creatures, which of course is a problem, but they don't get that recurring value of creating the Samurai tokens and buffing their team. So still pretty decent. Like Flame Blast Bolt is positioned really, really nicely right now, and I have found really good success with this card. So highly recommend. Now, our mana base is not great. I will be completely honest. We do have, because we're in Jund, we do have access to the Triome, the Proving Grounds, which is great. So that helps a ton. And then other than that, though, we have the slow lands. So we have Rockfall Vale, Deathcap Glade, and Haunted Ridge. Given that we're really relying on 3 and 5 drops, the slow lands aren't bad, but I'll tell you right now, in a starting hand with like Ziatora's Proving Grounds and a couple of slow lands and a Bloodtithe Harvester, it kind of bites. Not being able to hit the Bloodtithe Harvester on 2 consistently is really a problem. And the reason for that is this deck is rotation proof. The pathways are rotating. That's really a bummer. I'm gonna miss those, because I think the pathways were a great cycle that could allow you to hit 2 drops really in multiple colors like this very consistently. So that was nice. A little bit of a problem. That's also part of the reason Flame Blast Bolt is so nice, because even if we throw a tap land on turn 1, we can still take advantage of it on turn 2 to hit whatever their 2 drop is, even if our second land is tapped. So that's another reason for Flame Blast Bolt being in this list in particular. So yeah, Bloodtithe Harvester doesn't always hit on 2, which is a little unfortunate, but is what it is. But being able to throw the Bloodtithe Harvester on 3 and then activate the blood right away, not a bad way to go. And so the slow lands do give you that, which is fine. So like I said, the mana base is not great. I am really hoping that Dominaria gives us either, gives us some kind of good dual land cycle, like the Pain lands or the Check lands. A reprint on those would be great, or something new that we haven't seen before that could potentially enter untapped on 2. That would be really nice for this deck. So that's one of those things. As soon as Dominaria comes out, that is an adjustment. Like if they give us, for example, the Pain lands, which have been Dominaria themed in the past, so it'd be appropriate. Yavimaya Coast and things like that. That would be Battlefield Forge, I think was the Boros one. Anyway, those would be great in here. Being able to drop untapped lands that ping us for 1 damage to create a colored mana of 1 of 2 colors, or could tap for colorless for no damage. Great cards. They're just excellent. As far as like budget mana bases go, like absolutely fantastic. I'm hoping to see them. It's all speculation at this point. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. Keep an eye on the channel, by the way, for spoilers. As soon as the spoiler starts, in a couple of days, as of this recording, I will be doing videos on those. I will be doing deep dives on each of those cards. So keep an eye out, because that's definitely going to happen, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. I love spoiler season. It's like my favorite. In any event, that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're doing reanimation. Let's run this out onto the ladder, see what we can do. But before we do that, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. And right now on Patreon, for as little as $1, you can help support the stream and have your name appear in our Patreon credits. But also, if you would like to challenge me to build a very specific deck, either you have a list yourself or you would like to challenge me to build something based on your idea, no matter how ridiculous that idea may be, feel free to send that my way. If you are at the patron level of $10, the Mythic patrons at $10 have the opportunity to do that once a month. You can actually challenge me to build something or feature your deck live on my channel, either on my stream or YouTube. So that is a perk. And so thank you to my Mythic patrons, Else89 and Silent Labber. Y'all are amazing. Thank you for doing what you're doing and helping support the stream. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. So thank you so much. And with that, let's jump onto the ladder, get some gameplay in with this thing, see what it can do, because I think we got some potential here. So, all right, everybody, let's do this thing. This actually looks pretty good. We're gonna have the Flame Blessed Bolt as early as 1, and the, well, probably not 1, because we're gonna lead the Ziatora's Proving Grounds. But we're gonna have access to Flame Blessed Bolt and Cathartic Pyre on 2. That's pretty nice. We don't have access to the Meathook Massacre yet, because we only have 1 black mana source, but that's okay. Yeah, that's alright. Let's see, a Den of the Bugbear. I'm guessing Boros aggro. It's pretty common right now. I could be wrong. I often am. Although, I also didn't play a 1-drop, so... The Boros aggro list I'm thinking of has quite a few 1-drops, so... There we go. Ah, Boros, there it is. There's the plains. Show me Illuminarch. Hopefully initiate, okay. That's fine. We're just gonna bolt that, just get it off the field. Pew-pew. Toxrill, let's go. I love Toxie. Toxrill makes me so happy. And now, all of a sudden, the Cathartic Pyre has become very important. Being able to get Toxrill into our graveyard and tee up a graveyard shift, big time, big time. Ooh, or it can deal with the Sunrise Cavalier. Both looking... Both good options. You know what? We have other ways to dump our hand. I'm going to get rid of that. And another Cathartic Pyre. Never didn't have it. Let's go. All right, sick. Cool. And we are just preventing early damage. That is ultimately the main reason to have Cathartic Pyre and Flame Blessed Bolt in here. Preventing early damage is absolutely clutch. All right. Bloodthirsty Adversary is only going to get in for 2. I'm not too worried about it. And even then, we can even Meathook next turn and deal with it. So let's go ahead and discard up to 2 cards. I want to discard Toxrill. Now, the real question is, how important is Meathook here? Because it's Toxrill that we're discarding and not the Titan of Industry, Toxrill and Meathook is a little redundant. Now, they probably also have point-and-click removal, though. But we need to hit our 5th land. That's the big issue. That's a big concern. So, but you know what? I'm just going to let Toxrill go. I got another graveyard shift. That's fine. There's the land. All right, beautiful. So we can rip the graveyard, or we can rip the Meathook just to kill the Bloodtithe Adversary, or Bloodthirsty Adversary, or we can just graveyard shift Toxrill. Let's just do the thing. If they have a Fateful Absence, they're gonna fire it. If they don't, they're probably gonna scoop, is my read on this. They might also hit a Brutal Cathar. That might be a thing. If they do throw, they can throw a Brutal Cathar, attack for 2, then we Meathook next turn, kill the Brutal Cathar, Toxie's back, life is good. There's a lot of different opportunities, but if they're looking at a Skyclave Apparition, that's not going to do the job because Toxrill's mana value is way too high for that. Yeah, and any kind of burn removal they have is probably just not, it's just not going to deal enough. And especially because they only have 1 red. So even if they had the ability to cast multiple burn spells to try to take care of Toxrill, they're just not going to be enough. That 7 toughness is way too much to overcome in that regard. So here we go. This is a turn 5 Toxrill. We use Flame Blessed Bolt and Cathartic Pyre to mitigate early damage against an aggro deck. We're sitting at 18 life with a Toxrill on board. Golden. This is absolutely golden. And we have another graveyard shift in hand. So even if they do have a Fateful Absence or something like that that can deal with the Toxrill for this turn, we can just pull it back at the graveyard shift. And it doesn't look like they have it. Let's throw the Proving Grounds. Meathook for 2. We're going to lose 1 slug here, but that is okay. Because now we are on the beatdown. We get a fresh slug because the Cavalier died. We get in for 5. Boom. Let's go. And now we have the slug back as a beater, or the slug back as a blocker, rather. We have the Meathook Massacre up, and we even, again, have the graveyard shift in hand. So even if they're able to get Toxrill off the board, if it goes back into our graveyard, we can just pull it back up. This is a great position to be in. I'm feeling fine. Now, they may have exile removal, like I was saying. Like, at this point, because we ran out the Meathook Massacre, a Brutal Cathar would be pretty rough. It would be appropriately brutal. So that is a bit of an issue. Especially because we don't have any other cards in our graveyard right now. So that's a factor. Let's see. So our opponent has given us a little bit of a rope-a-dope. Just a little bit. But that's okay. They're in kind of a rough spot right now because if they play anything with a 1 toughness, it dies immediately. If they play anything with 2 toughness, it dies by their next turn. So, or it dies by the end of their next turn, by the time I would go again. So they're going to play out the Bloodthirsty Adversary. It's going to get 1 slime counter on it. Oh no, it is by my next turn. That's right. Yeah, this is nasty right here. Absolutely nasty. We're going to play out Harvester. We're going to go ahead and swing in. They have an opportunity to block Toxrill, prevent 7 damage. Slug gets in for free. Boom. Get another slug because of the slime counters. You'll love to see it. Now, we don't have blue in the mana base, so we don't have an ability to sacrifice the slugs for cards, which is mildly unfortunate, but small price to pay. That is a way that you could potentially improve this deck, is to add a little bit of blue. One of the things that I would do prior to rotation... Okay, here we go. Got the scoop. Let's go. Prior to rotation, I would put World Tree in, because once we hit 6 lands with World Tree, we'd have the ability to sack the slugs. Unfortunately, World Tree is going to be rotating, so that goes against what we're doing with this deck. But that was a great game. It fit. We did the thing. Sweet. Let's move on to another, see if we can do that again. All right, this opening hand is not amazing, but Flame Blast Bolt and Graveyard Shift are sweet, and being able to stick a Junji on 5 is really solid. So we do run the risk here of flooding out. If we draw into some lands, we're going to be in rough shape, so that's obviously a problem. We want to avoid that. But if we draw into a Cathartic Pyre or a Fable the Mirror Breaker, all of a sudden, this is going to look really sweet. Ooh, okay, there's a land already. Not loving it. Not loving it. Okay. So let's see what we got. Opponents on black. Their name is Necromancer, so I have a feeling they are doing something similar to what we're doing here, which I'm intrigued to see what they're up to. I'm intrigued to check it out. Going to Orzhov so far. Okay, and they've got the Nyx lands, which I gotta be honest, they're pretty lands. They're quite nice. Ziatora. That's very boltable. We're going to exile Ziatora, the Font of Hope, and we're going to draw more land. No! That is not what we needed. All right, 3 of our 4 Haunted Ridges, and we have only seen 9 cards. A third of the cards we have seen this game have been Haunted Ridge. That is suboptimal. All right, cool. Titan of Industry is a good draw. If we find a way to get it into our graveyard, we are going to be golden. If we don't, could be better. That said, Junji can tangle with Inspiring Overseer, no problem. As well as probably any other angels that they're likely to drop. So this is definitely appearing to be an Orzhov Angels list. Ziatora definitely fits in that kind of archetype. You know, she's obviously like Angel Tribal all day. So I suspect that's what we're going to be seeing here for the remainder of the game. More lands. Of course there's more lands. Why wouldn't there be? Here comes Junji. And on top of that, not only are we drawing an obscene number of lands, but only one of them so far has been green. So even once we have 7 mana on the field, Titan of Industry is not available. And Vanishing Verse, unfortunately, we are not playing in a post-rotation queue because that card is still here and it wrecks the Kamigawa Dragons. Puritas Retribution, sure. A Cathartic Pyre off the top here would be ideal. That way we could dump Titan immediately, as well as one of these lands. We wouldn't be able to cast Graveyard Shift just yet, but it would at least get the Titan in the yard. We definitely need that Titan in the graveyard, like post-haste. Fable would also be acceptable. Even Bloodtithe Harvester, frankly, would give us an opportunity to loot the Titan away with the Blood token. So there are a lot of ways that this deck can do it. We just need to find them. Fable. I just said that would be acceptable, so I can't complain. Let's go. They're probably going to kill our little shaman, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. As long as we get Chapter 2 on the Fable, we're going to be fine. So they can crack in for 6, knock us down to 10. They also have a card Foretold, which I'm guessing might be a Doomscar? I could be wrong on that. I oftentimes am. There are a number of cards that could be. That could also be a Poison the Cup, potentially. It's a Starnheim Unleashed. Probably should have guessed that. That makes sense. Because now Angels are all going to have Double Strike next turn. And they just put 4 additional power of Angels on the board. Yep. So they attack with the team. Post-combat, they tap the Vigilant Angel to kill the Shaman. It's a mild inconvenience. Diregraf Rebirth is pretty cool. Dump the Titan on the land. Favor Shift and Toxie. There you are. Man, I wish I had you in my hand last turn. Or I wish I had kept that land because we'd actually be able to play Toxrill, and that would make a pretty significant difference here. Instead, we are going to throw the Titan. Cool. We are going to gain some life, and we're going to destroy that Fear's Retribution. So even if they have an answer to Titan, they don't get the double strike on the Angels this turn. If they don't get the double strike on the Angels this turn, that is a big freaking deal. Unfortunately, we have all of these reanimation spells and no additional creatures in the yard. So if we find a way to get Toxrill into our graveyard, gravy. If we Vanishing Verse, that sucks. Another Future Retribution. Sure, why not? Why not? Yeah, we're dead. I mean, unless we get a Meathook off the top. I think a Meathook off the top would do it, but alas, it is not to be. Yeah, the double Vanishing Verse was just too much for us to deal with. Exile removal is definitely a problem with this deck. It's definitely an issue. You know, and Toxrill's good, but it's not enough. Yeah, they got it. All right. Bummer, yo. Well, okay, I don't want to end on that note. Let's get at least one more game in, see if we can get another win, and see if we can make it work. Meathook is great. Titan is great. Rebirth is great. We don't have a way to get the Titan into the graveyard just yet. But we have a lot in the deck, so hopefully we draw into one of those and we'll be okay. Because every good Reanimator deck needs three things. You need something worth reanimating, a way to reanimate it, and a way to get it in your graveyard. It's just the law of Reanimator. You just need it. There's no way around it. It's just what it is. And we have two of those three pieces in our hand. We just need to get the third, and we're gravy. We're not hitting it so far, which is mildly problematic. We could hit the Meathook Massacre just to get Symbology Prof off the field. I think I'm gonna hit the Proving Grounds instead, just so that we will not have any mana issues whatsoever for the remainder of this game. We also now have an opportunity to sweep up some additional stuff with the Meathook, which is nice. They're gonna get another token down. Sure. Fable trumps Meathook all day. So we get the Goblin Shaman, which can block potentially. And then next turn, we're going to be able to get the Titan of Industry into our graveyard. And we can dump one of these Diregrafs as well, just to draw more cards, churn through the deck. And then we're going to be able to get Titan out, blow up the Wedding Announcement. Kabir takedown on the Shaman, okay. That gives them an opportunity to attack free and clear with both creatures. So they'll draw a card off Wedding Announcement. It's decent. That's a good play. All right, they're going to grab Containment Breach. They want to blow up my Fable, and I can't blame them. I would too. All right. We're going to have Titan and the Rebirth. Toxie. What up? All right. Love Toxrill. Card's great. Diregraf Rebirth on the Titan of Industry. Let's go. We're going to put a 4/4 green Rhino on the board, as well as destroying that Wedding Announcement. So Titan is doing its thing. Just like that, instant board, just add Rebirth. Turn 5 Titan. Pretty solid. So they're going to Valor Stance the Titan. That's fine. We can actually pull it back again with another spell later. And we have Meathook just chilling, ready to go to just sweep up all these little 1 toughness critters. Our opponent doesn't even want to, like, that matchup was so bad for them. I cannot blame them for that scoop. So, all right, that was a pretty solid note to end on. We got to do the thing. Stuff happened. Love it. So, again, huge thank you to my patrons, L79, Silent Lambert. Y'all are amazing. I appreciate you. And thank you for making it to the end of the video. It makes a huge difference. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this, please hit that subscribe button. We are approaching 1,000 subscribers, which will give me an opportunity to apply to the YouTube Partner Program. It would be a really big deal. It's a great way to support the channel, help support what I do, and it costs you absolutely nothing. So I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it here. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And it's funny, actually, I stream over on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/hamhawks42. And when I get done with my stream, we usually raid somebody. And I find myself, when I'm doing my wrap-up on YouTube videos, I find myself like, okay, let's find somebody to raid. Wait, no, that's Twitch. In any event, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And I'll catch you on the next one.